First of all, I'd like to say it's lovely to see as many smiling faces here. As a developer, I'm one of the ones that sits in the dark back rooms most of the time. So it's fantastic to get out and about and see everybody. So thanks for coming out. I'm Martin Renvoize. I'm Head of Development and Community Engagement at PTFS. Many of you will have seen me in the past. I've been here, not quite as long as Jonathan, but not too much less. I think I was the first employee, so as they were coming into business. And I'm going to talk about all of our development and what we're looking forward to in the future. So in the year to come, I thought I'd start by a little bit about what we've achieved this year. So Jonathan's just said a huge amount of what we've achieved. I wanted to focus on the changes that are happening to really improve on our prospects for development coming forwards. So obviously he said we've had a big change with our relationship with Bywater Solutions. So there's lots of closer partnerships happening at the moment with that partnership with Bywater Solutions, which should mean that we've got more access to community resources and the ability to develop even more quicker and with more controls, etc. We've signed some contracts with Collections HQ, so we've now got the ability to try and add more seamless integrations with them. And we're trying to lead the way with the Aspen community. It's still sort of early days in the world of Aspen in terms of wider community adoption and wider community input into that project. And with our huge experience and wealth of knowledge in the COA community, we're helping to sort of drive that process through and help encourage more developers, not just from our side and Bywater's side, but the wider world. And we obviously want to stay at the forefront of the COA community. We've enjoyed that for a long time, and we don't want to drop that in any way. I've been really lucky this last year. I've had a lot of team growth, as Jonathan has highlighted. We've got a real set of new developers, really diverse backgrounds, not just coming from development circles. So we've got people from acquisitions areas, and hopefully I'm going to be able to utilize some of their skills, not just their development skills, for those things coming forward. And they're all quite nice, ambitious people. So they've been doing release maintenance and taking on roles in the communities around us. And they've really, really kind of shown their worth to the community. And I think probably as part of the positive sell to getting the Bywater guys on board, our development team has come afresh in a year. And I think our reputation for delivering products has really helped on that front. We've got a real commitment to sort of modernisation and CPD, so we're trying to help modernise our products, but as part of that, the new team all need CPD and to keep pushing forwards. And then finally, we're adding more and more sort of international engagement to our repertoire. So we've always been part of the communities, and we've always had a real lead on that. But there's more international groups coming on board with certainly the COA communities, including quite a lot of Scandinavian growth. So I had a meeting only a few days ago with a Scandinavian group, Norwegian group of developers and libraries, very interested in the ILL projects that we're doing, and obviously the US partnerships. That's a bit of background. Now let's look at some of the exciting stuff we're going to try and do in the next year. So on the COA front, there's quite a move in the community to try and push the plugin infrastructure forwards. So COA supported plugins for a long time, but they've been somewhat hidden in silos. So we've got a number of plugins, Bywater's got a number of plugins, in Libro, our kind of contemporaries in Canada have got a lot of plugins, but none of them are particularly discoverable. They're all hidden away to some extent, and you have to sort of come to us to have a recommendation. We're planning to make more of an app store built into COA itself. Everybody loves app stores these days. And that should really aid in the discoverability of sort of enhancements and new features that you can grab off the shelf. Part of that is also the trustability and the security of those plugins. So I wouldn't go so far as to say it's the Wild West out there at the moment, but there's no form of real authentication that a plugin's been written by who it said it's been written. There's no real signature of authenticity or quality assurance on those plugins. and as part of the community, we really want to sort of start encouraging that ethos of there's a more centralized plugin discovery portal where everything on it's sort of signed and validated as being secure and positive, rather than the couple of lists that we've been maintaining. So that's kind of the plugins improvements. Acquisitions. So acquisitions has been around in Koa for a long time, and it does the job. However, it's starting to show its organic growth. It's starting to show that it's been around a while, and no one's had a bit of blue sky thinking and refreshed look at acquisitions for a long time. So we're hoping to do a bit of reimagination work this next year, probably the next coming 2 cycles of Koa. We are looking for feedback and from anybody that's played with acquisition systems in other library systems. So I might be reaching out to a few people at times over this next year. As I said, one of our newer developers, he comes from a background of acquisitions, albeit a different industry. He was in the rail industry, but we're going to try and utilize some of his experience with other acquisition systems. And I'm developing some partnerships with some German librarians at the moment, where they've just switched from Alma and they've just switched from folios, etc. So we're looking to get a bit of inspiration from acquisitions in other systems, both librarian and further. All this wants to basically lead to more seamless integrated solutions, so using vendor APIs, clarifying workflows, and simplifying the tasks for yourselves. Next up, interlibrary loans. That's close to my heart, interlibrary loans. We, as a company, developed the first interlibrary loans module in Koa many years ago now, and it really showcased the way forward for a lot of Koa's base infrastructure. The plugin system was inspired by the way we worked on back-end modules or pluggable systems for interlibrary loans. However, the module itself hasn't kept up in terms of the infrastructure behind it. So we've been doing a huge amount of work this year to increase and improve the performance in interlibrary loans. And now we're looking to take those next modernization steps, including bringing in the use of plugins. So it's a standardized plugin system for the communications protocols, as opposed to it's a fairly manual and difficult process to develop a back-end, that driver as such at the moment. And we want to, as part of that, re-envisage some of the core workflows. I'm following a trend here, re-envisaging. The core workflow in the UK is somewhat different to the core workflows in a lot of the rest of the world we've found. ILL in the UK is a lot more competitive. So the system was built with that in mind, and with the idea of you could have many providers, different providers from different organizations. And at the moment, the first step for end users and for librarians is to pick that provider. Well, we've discovered that most of the time, the patron hasn't got a clue who the provider is. So we're really looking to flip that core workflow on its head. So it's always request first driven, and then we expose options to the end user as the next step as to where that request can then get facilitated and move forward. And we're working quite closely with the Norwegians, particularly on this, and the NHS in particular on this, as there's some real interest to drive that project forward. And as, again, part of that, Koa's always been a very good, I've forgotten the opposite term to supplying, requesting agency. These are ISO terms, so I have to stick to the ISO term. We're now looking to try and become much more capable of being the supplying agency. So for you lending out to other libraries rather than just making the requests and pulling resources in. And we're aiming to support the ISO 18626 protocols and standards on that front. Again, that's very much driven by a need within our own areas, but also this real international interest. There's a real reinvigoration of our interlibrary loans on the international scene. Bookings. I'm excited to say Bookings has now passed QA and will be pushed well, hopefully within the next few hours. This is very much the foundations part of bookings. You can make bookings from the staff client. You can fulfill those bookings. That's a brilliant first step. It's all new infrastructure in terms of the technologies behind it, and it doesn't tie deeply into holds or circulation rules as yet. And that was a deliberate decision to try and have that blue sky thinking, that new, fresh take on it. So there's lots of next steps to carry on with. Now that foundation's there and it's well sort of tested and tried. We've got partnerships with Bywater and partnerships with a few other libraries as well to look at the implementation of exposing that on the OPACs, including routes and workflows through how the hold system manages things, how the recall system manages things, how the circulation rules interact with that booking set. I will be at the end. Other integrations. So Koa's got, as I listed a minute ago, we've got lots of exciting partnerships and collaborations in the pipelines. So I mentioned we've got to deal with Collection HQ. We've had a few meetings about making the experience with Collection HQ a lot more seamless. So lots more touch points and link points between Koa and the Collection HQ product. Single sign-on is a huge piece for them. They don't want you to have to log into a different system to go between the two systems. We've also got some partnerships with Library On. They're very interested in exposing public catalogues more widely, making them more discoverable. And we're looking at doing some two-way integrations so that you can maintain your library branch addresses from your Koa system and have them automatically updated in the Library On central repository systems. So we're working with them. Vendor APIs seems to be quite a big area of growth. Everybody's interested in vendor APIs as possibly a solution to move away from some of the EDI style workflows, although EDI is not going anywhere either, and we're continuing to develop in there. LCF, which I think many people may know about, it's kind of the next generation of SIP, and it's another interactive sort of protocol. And we'll keep growing the REST APIs. So things like Aspen are utilizing the REST APIs that have been built and are always asking for more functionality. So the ideas are basically to give you the freedom to choose what front end and how things are exposed to you. So the more APIs we can expose and allow others to use, the better on that front. Community are still very much focused on user experience. So many of you at this 22.11 upgrades will have noted the big changes in the staff client UI. There was a real refresh there then. That hasn't stopped. We're continuing and we're trying to sort of really focus on bringing more consistency to all the modules, make them all feel more familiar to each other. Some of the modules feel, again, it's the organic growth of the product, aren't necessarily in keeping with other modules. And we're trying to keep improving that accessibility and just streamlining processes. The less clicks you have to do and the less manual sort of interacting, the easier hopefully it becomes for you. But we need to do that in a way that you've still got the control and the power to do the things you want to do. So that's Koa, but Koa's not our only product. We're also quite big on the scene in the Aspen world. So we're looking to do quite a lot of work on the web builder UI and the web builder functionality of Aspen. So Aspen allows you to build pages and build your site around your look and feel. But we're looking to really try and refresh how that system works and make it more interactive, make it more WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. So you'll be able to move, drag and drop moving elements around the screen and play with a lot more of the system, customizing it more to your liking, without having to dig quite so much into code or overrides in CSS or JavaScript. Aspen already has a mobile app, Leader, in the US. We have yet to make it work properly in the UK, but we're really pushing to get the UK version of Leader up and running and out there. And my developers have currently got me breathing down their necks at the moment, so they're really pushing for that. And we want to not just have the same leader but start to enhance it and add functionality for the UK audience. Connectors, so Aspen's a discovery system at its core, so it needs to be able to connect to everything, and at the moment it lacks the support for summon. Now, we've not had anybody desperately asking for summon support as yet. Very close to in the future, it feels like we are, so we're looking to support add a connector for summon and have developers working on that. And then we've got, again, this integration with other systems is quite a theme here. There's reading list systems, so we want to have a bit tighter integrations with Tallis and other reading list systems. And that's quite a UK-centric thing. Yeah, the American market doesn't really have a notion of a reading list as such. And then we're leading, this is less of a development of software as a development of community. So as I said a minute ago, the Aspen community is quite young, quite new to the world. And we're helping to really be at the forefront of opening up Aspen as a community development platform rather than it being one or two small groups, because it's worked so well in Koa. We've got huge numbers of people developing and submitting enhancements and improvements in the Koa world. We're trying to adopt the same partnerships and openness in development in the Aspen world, becoming parts of those roles. This is where I hand over to you guys. We want your ideas, so it's no good the developers leading all of the discussion. We need to know from you what your next things and projects are, what new touch points you want, what new integrations you want. We'll have a table this afternoon where you can come and give me some ideas, or we've always you can always open a ticket with an idea or an encouragement. So yeah, we need more ideas from you. We also want to encourage and foster even more partnerships. So partnerships in testing, partnerships in signing off. There's quite a process to development in terms of it's not just the developer making code. We then need people to actually test we've delivered what we've expected to deliver, that we're doing exactly what the customers asked rather than our interpretations. That process in the community and within the company is really important to us. And we've got some great partnerships already. NHS in particular have done some fantastic testing recently, but it's not just limited to them. We've got some really good partnerships in the academic world, etc. as well. So just encouraging that, and again, that kind of gets fed into Andrew's doing a bit of a session on how you can help later. And then more widely than us, there's the community side of things. So you can get involved in the wider communities. You don't have to go just through us. The Koa community and the Aspen communities are things of themselves. So you can come and talk to them. They're very friendly, the mailing lists and the IRC channels, etc. And again, I think Andrew's probably going into various parts of that as well.